Why is it that so many men spend hours trying to solve a woman's problems, only to find her pulling away instead of drawing closer? You give advice, offer solutions, even create step-by-step plans to fix whatever's bothering her. Yet somehow, you end up feeling frustrated, unappreciated, and completely disconnected. Have you ever wondered why your genuine attempts to help seem to create more distance between you? Or maybe you've asked yourself, if I'm being supportive and solving her problems, then why isn't this working? This disconnect isn't about your intentions. It's about something deeper, something that touches the fundamental differences in how we connect with others and what creates true intimacy in relationships. Let's be honest. As men, many of us were raised to be problem solvers. You were praised when you found the practical solution, when you fixed the broken thing, when you created order from chaos. That praise became your compass, guiding you toward a particular kind of value, the value of being useful, practical, and solution-oriented. But that compass, so reliable in many areas of life, can lead you astray in your romantic connections. Because what creates closeness in the mechanic's shop doesn't necessarily create closeness in the living room. What works for fixing a car doesn't always work for nurturing a relationship. Think about it. When she starts telling you about her difficult day, about the conflict with her coworker, or the stress of her project, your instinct is to jump in with solutions. You interrupt her flow of emotions with logical fixes. You hear a problem, and you immediately start working on an answer. And in that moment, without realizing it, you've locked yourself inside a shrinking comfort zone. You've stepped away from emotional connection and retreated to the familiar territory of practical solutions. You've chosen the path that feels safer to you, the path of fixing rather than feeling. Here's the truth that might be difficult to hear. Most of the time, she doesn't want you to fix her problems, she wants you to understand her emotions. The irony is painful, isn't it? Your attempt to be valuable, to offer solutions, is precisely what's making you less valuable in these moments. Your desire to help is creating distance instead of connection. So what's the alternative? If you're not supposed to fix her problems, what are you supposed to do? This is where many men throw up their hands and retreat behind a wall of defensive arrogance. Women are just impossible to understand, they say. They don't know what they want. But that's not true. Women know exactly what they want in these moments. They want to be emotionally understood. Let me share with you what actually works. What creates the kind of connection that makes her feel drawn to you, that makes her value your presence in her life, that makes her want to open up to you again and again. Instead of trying to fix her problems, learn to validate her emotions. Emotional validation is the art of acknowledging someone's feelings without trying to change them, judge them, or solve them. It's the practice of creating a safe space where emotions can exist without immediate solutions. When you validate her emotions, you're communicating several powerful messages at once. I see you. I hear you. Your feelings make sense to me. I'm here with you in this moment. And here's the surprising truth. This is what creates true intimacy. Not solutions, not fixes, but the experience of being emotionally understood. Think about your own experience. When you're struggling with something difficult, when you're feeling overwhelmed or uncertain, what feels better? Someone jumping in with unsolicited advice, or someone taking the time to really understand what you're going through? The difference is profound, isn't it? So how do you actually do this? How do you shift from being a problem solver to being an emotion validator? First, recognize that this isn't about abandoning your problem-solving skills. Those are valuable in the right context. This is about adding a new skill to your repertoire, the skill of emotional validation. Start by listening without interrupting. When she's sharing something difficult, resist the urge to jump in with solutions. Instead, give her your full attention. Make eye contact, nod, show that you're present with her. Next, reflect back what you're hearing. Not just the facts of the situation, but the emotions behind them. It sounds like you felt really disrespected when your boss interrupted you in that meeting. I can hear how frustrated you are with this situation. That sounds really overwhelming. Then, normalize her feelings. Let her know that her emotional response makes sense. Anyone would feel upset in that situation. It's completely understandable that you'd feel that way. I'd probably feel the same way if I were in your shoes. Finally, express support without trying to fix. I'm here for you. Is there anything you need from me right now? Would it help to talk more about this, or would you prefer to take your mind off it for a while? What you'll discover is that this approach creates a completely different dynamic in your relationship. Instead of you trying to chase her with solutions, she'll begin to chase you with her thoughts, her feelings, her inner world. She'll seek you out when she's struggling because she knows you'll create a space where she feels understood rather than fixed. And here's the beautiful paradox. When you stop trying to fix her problems, you actually become more valuable to her. When you focus on understanding rather than solving, you create the kind of emotional safety that deepens intimacy. This isn't about manipulating her emotions or playing games. It's about genuine connection. It's about stepping off the pedestal of the all-knowing problem solver and meeting her in the vulnerable space of emotional experience. Now, there's an important distinction here. This doesn't mean you should never offer solutions. Sometimes she will explicitly ask for your advice or help. When that happens, by all means, share your thoughts. The key is waiting until she asks, rather than jumping in with solutions at the first sign of a problem. And yes, there will be times when practical solutions are necessary. If the house is on fire, it's not the moment for emotional validation, it's the moment for action. But in the everyday challenges and struggles, emotional understanding comes first, practical solutions second. The truth is, this approach requires courage. It requires the willingness to step outside your comfort zone, to engage with emotions in a way that might feel unfamiliar or even uncomfortable at first. It requires patience, the patience to listen without immediately trying to fix. But the rewards are immense. When you create a space where emotions can be safely expressed and validated, you create the foundation for a deeper, more intimate connection. You become the person she turns to, not just for practical help, but for emotional understanding. And that's when something magical happens. That's when she begins to chase you, not because you've manipulated her into doing so, but because you've become a source of emotional safety in her life. Because you offer something rare and valuable, the experience of being truly understood. Think about the last time you felt completely understood by someone. Remember how that felt? The relief, the connection, the sense of not being alone with your struggles? That's what you're offering when you validate her emotions instead of trying to fix her problems. This shift, from fixing to understanding, may seem subtle, but its impact on your relationship will be profound. It will change how she sees you, how she responds to you, and how she feels about sharing her inner world with you. So the next time she comes to you with a problem, take a breath. Resist the urge to immediately offer solutions. Instead, listen, reflect, validate. Create a space where her emotions can exist without judgment or immediate fixes. And watch as the dynamic between you transforms. Watch as she begins to seek you out, to value your presence, to chase the connection that you've created. Because ultimately, what we all want most isn't someone who can fix our problems. It's someone who can understand our emotions, someone who can sit with us in our struggles without trying to rush us to the solution, someone who makes us feel seen, heard, and valued for who we are, not just for what we can do or fix. Be that person, and you'll never have to chase again. Instead, you'll become the emotional home she continually returns to, the safe harbor in her storms, the connection she values above all others. And in that space of emotional understanding, you'll discover a level of intimacy you never thought possible. An intimacy built not on practical solutions, but on the powerful foundation of emotional validation.